Am I the only one who didn't know the Menendez Brothers case is back in the spotlight? Joseph Lyle Menendez, born January 10, 1968, and Eric Galen Menendez, born November 27, 1970, jointly referred to as the Menendez Brothers, are American brothers who were convicted in 1996 of the murders of their parents, Jose and Mary Louise "Kitty" Menendez. During their trial, the brothers first stated that they committed the murders out of fear that their father would kill them after they threatened to expose him for years of sexual, emotional, and physical abuse. The prosecution argued that they did it to inherit their father's multi-million-dollar estate. They were first tried separately, with one jury for each brother. However, both juries were deadlocked, resulting in mistrials. In a second trial, they were tried together and found guilty. Both brothers were sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Jose Enrique Menendez was born on May 6, 1944, in Havana, Cuba. At age 16, at the beginning of the Cuban Revolution, he moved to the United States. Jose attended Southern Illinois University, where he met Mary Louise "Kitty" Anderson. They were married in 1963 and moved to New York City, where Jose earned an accounting degree from Queens College. The couple's first son, Joseph Lyle, who goes by his middle name, was born on January 10, 1968, in New York. Kitty quit her teaching job after Lyle was born, and the family moved to New Jersey, where Eric Galen was born on November 27, 1970, in Gloucester Township. The family lived in Hopewell Township, and both brothers attended Princeton Day School. In mid-1976, Lyle and Eric's cousin, Diane Vander Molen, came to stay with them. She later stated Lyle confessed to her that his father was sexually abusing him. Vander Molen claimed to have told Kitty what Lyle had said, but also claimed Kitty sided with her husband and said Lyle was lying. Vander Molen recalls that afterward, Kitty put Lyle upstairs, and that was the last Vander Molen heard of the claim. The brothers have claimed that their father stopped abusing Lyle when he was 8 and started abusing Eric, who was 6 at the time. Kitty's eldest sister, Joan Vander Molen, also backed the sexual abuse allegations in a 2017 interview with People. However, Kitty's brother, Milton Anderson, has described the allegations as bull. Jose became an executive of Hertz Global Holdings and later RCA Records. In 1986, the family moved to Beverly Hills, California, when he was appointed as the CEO of Artisan Entertainment, then known as Live Entertainment. The following year, Eric attended Beverly Hills High School, where he earned average grades but displayed a remarkable talent for tennis, ranking 44th in the U.S. as a junior. About 2 weeks before the murders, Eric and his friend Michael Joyce entered the 1989 Boys Junior National Tennis Championship. Eric reached the second round of qualifying in the boys' singles, while Joyce reached the quarterfinals. Lyle attended Princeton University, where he was placed on academic probation for poor grades and eventually suspended for plagiarism. On the evening of August 20th, 1989, Jose and Kitty were watching television in the den of their Beverly Hills mansion when Lyle and Eric entered the den carrying Mossberg 12-gauge shotguns. Jose was shot 6 times, including a fatal shot to the back of his head. Kitty was shot 10 times in total. Before the fatal shot to her cheek, she was on the ground, crawling away. Lyle ran to the car where Eric handed him ammunition to reload before firing the fatal shot to her face. Immediately after the killings, both brothers remained in the house, expecting the police to respond due to the noise of the gunshots. They later left to dispose of their clothes that were stained with blood and brain matter, then buried the shotguns somewhere along Mulholland Drive. In between these, they also went to a movie theater and attempted to purchase tickets for the film Batman to use as their alibi, but abandoned the plan due to the timestamp on the ticket stub. They then headed to the Taste of LA festival at Santa Monica Civic Auditorium. After returning home and finding no police presence, Lyle called 911 to report that his parents had been killed by unknown perpetrators. When the police arrived, they did not seek gunshot residue tests from the brothers, which would have indicated whether they had recently discharged a firearm. In the months after the killings, the brothers spent lavishly on luxury items, businesses, and travel. Lyle bought Chuck's Spring Street Cafe, a Buffalo Wing restaurant in Princeton, New Jersey, as well as a Rolex watch and a Porsche Carrera sports car. Eric hired a full-time tennis coach and competed in a series of tournaments overseas. The brothers eventually left the Beverly Hills mansion unoccupied, choosing to live in adjoining condominiums in nearby Marina del Rey. They also dined extravagantly and took overseas trips to the Caribbean and London. Collectively, they spent approximately $700,000 before their arrests. Family members later disputed a connection between their spending and the murder of their parents, claiming that there were no changes in their spending habits after the killings. At one point, they attended a New York Knicks basketball game which became immortalized when they appeared courtside in the background of a Mark Jackson trading card. During the early stages of the investigation, police tried to narrow their search to suspects who had motives to kill Jose and Kitty, and also investigated potential mob leads. As the investigation continued, they began to suspect the brothers were the most likely perpetrators due to the obvious financial motive and their exorbitant spending after the killings. In an attempt to get a confession from Eric, police arranged for his friend Craig Signorelli to wear a wire during a lunch with Eric at a local beachfront restaurant. When Signorelli asked Eric whether he had killed his parents, Eric denied it. Eric eventually confessed to his psychologist, Jerome Oziel, who then told his mistress, Judalon Smith. Oziel later broke up with Smith, who in a fit of rage told the police about the brothers' involvement. Lyle was arrested on March 8, 1990, and Eric turned himself in 3 days later after returning to Los Angeles from Israel. Both were held without bail and jailed separately. In August 1990, Judge James Albrecht ruled that tapes of the conversations between Eric and Oziel were admissible evidence, since Oziel stated that Lyle threatened him and violated doctor-patient privilege. Albrecht's ruling was appealed, after which the proceedings were delayed for 2 years. The Supreme Court of California ruled in August 1992 that most of the tapes were admissible, with the exception of the tape on which Eric discussed the murders. After that decision, a Los Angeles County grand jury issued indictments in December 1992, charging the brothers with the murders of their parents. The Menendez case became a worldwide sensation when Court TV broadcast the trial in 1993. Represented by their defense lawyer, Leslie Abramson, the brothers stated that they killed their parents out of fear for their lives after a lifetime of abuse at the hands of their parents, especially sexual abuse at the hands of their father, who was described as a cruel perfectionist and pedophile. Meanwhile, their mother was described as an enabling, selfish, mentally unstable alcoholic and drug addict who encouraged her husband's behavior and was also violent toward the brothers. The allegations against the couple were supported by the testimony of 2 family members. The brothers' cousin, Andy Cano, said that as a child, Eric told him about the sexual abuse, which they both described as penis massages. Diane Vander Molen, another cousin of the brothers, stated that she once told Kitty about Jose's molestation of Lyle, although Kitty told her that it was false. As physical evidence, the defense presented a photograph of Lyle and Eric's genitalia allegedly taken by their father when they were children. The prosecution argued that the killings were done for financial gain. This theory was disputed by the defense team, which claimed that the brothers did not think they were getting an inheritance. Lyle's prosecutor, Pam Bozanik, argued that men could not be raped because they lacked the necessary equipment to be raped. Eric testified that a couple of weeks before the night of the killings, he told his brother about the sexual abuse he was experiencing, which led to several confrontations within the family. The brothers also testified that their father threatened to kill them if they did not keep the abuse secret. They claimed the last confrontation happened inside their home's den on August 20th, 1989. A few minutes before Kitty and Jose were killed. The brothers stated that their father closed the den's door, which was unusual. Paranoid and afraid that they would be killed by their parents, Lyle and Eric went outside to load their shotguns. Eric stated, "As I went into the room, I just started firing." The trial ended with 2 deadlocked juries. As a result, Los Angeles County District Attorney Gil Garcetti immediately announced that the brothers would be retried. The second trial was somewhat less publicized, in part because Judge Stanley Weisberg did not allow cameras in the courtroom. During the second trial, Weisberg, relying upon a legal decision by the Supreme Court in an unrelated case, limited testimony about the sexual abuse claims and only allowed the jury to vote manslaughter charges for the father but not for the mother. Both brothers were eventually convicted on 2 counts of first-degree murder and conspiracy to murder. In the penalty phase of the trial, they were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The jury noted the abuse defense was not a factor in its deliberations, but it decided not to impose the death penalty because both brothers had no prior criminal record or history of violence. However, unlike the juries in the previous trials, the jury in the penalty phase rejected the defense's theory that the brothers killed their parents out of fear and believed that they committed the killings to inherit their father's wealth. During the penalty phase, Abramson told defense witness William Vickery to edit his notes of meetings with Eric to remove potentially damning information, but the district attorney's office decided not to launch a criminal investigation of Abramson. Both brothers also filed motions for a mistrial, claiming that they suffered irreversible damage in the penalty phase as a result of possible misconduct and ineffective representation by Abramson. On July 2, 1996, Weisberg sentenced the brothers to life in prison without the possibility of parole to be served as consecutive sentences for the killings and the charges of conspiracy to commit murder. As in their pre-trial detention, the California Department of Corrections separated the brothers and sent them to different prisons. Since they were considered to be maximum security inmates, they were segregated from other prisoners. They remained in separate prisons until February 2018, when Lyle was moved from Mule Creek State Prison to the Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility 45, where they were housed in separate units. Eric also spent some time at Folsom State Prison in Folsom, California, and Pleasant Valley State Prison in Coalinga, California. On April 4, 2018, Lyle was moved into the same housing unit as Eric, reuniting them for the first time since they began serving their sentences nearly 22 years earlier. The brothers burst into tears and hugged each other during their first meeting in the housing unit. The unit where they are housed is reserved for inmates who agree to participate in education and rehabilitation programs without creating disruptions. On February 27, 1998, the California Court of Appeal upheld the brothers' murder convictions, and on May 28, 1998, the Supreme Court of California declined to review the case, thus allowing the decision of the appellate court to stand. Both brothers filed habeas corpus petitions with the Supreme Court of California, which were denied in 1999. Having exhausted their appeal remedies in state court, they filed separate habeas corpus petitions in the United States District Court. On March 4, 2003, a magistrate judge recommended the denial of the petitions, and the district court adopted the recommendation. The brothers then decided to appeal to the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. On September 7, 2005, a three-judge panel denied both their habeas corpus petitions, although Judge Alex Kaczynski noted that the trial judge changed many of his rulings during the two trials. 51 in May 2023. The brothers requested a new hearing by filing documents which are based on newly discovered evidence which allegedly proves that their father had also molested boy band member Roy Ross. Specifically, on April 18, 2023, on a segment of The Today Show about a television documentary, Rosello stated that when he was 14 years old, he was drugged and raped by Jose Menendez while he was visiting the Menendez family's home in New Jersey. On October 3, 2024, Los Angeles District Attorney George Gaskin announced in a press conference that his office is actively reviewing the appeal. On July 2, 1996, Lyle married Anna Erickson at a ceremony attended by Abramson and his aunt Marta Menendez, officiated by Judge Nancy Brown. They divorced on April 1, 2001, after Erickson discovered that Lyle was cheating on her with another woman. In November 2003, Lyle married Rebecca Sneed at a ceremony in a visiting area of Mule Creek State Prison. They had known each other for around 10 years before their engagement. On June 12, 1999, Eric married Tammy Ruth Sackaman at Folsom State Prison in a prison waiting room. Tammy later stated, "Our wedding cake was a Twinkie. We improvised. It was a wonderful ceremony until I had to leave. That was a very lonely night." In an October 2005 interview with ABC News, she described her relationship with Eric as something I've dreamed about for a long time, and it's just something special that I never thought I would ever have. In 2005, Sackaman self-published a book. They said we'd never make it. My Life with Eric Menendez, but she said on CNN's Larry King Live that Eric also did a lot of editing on the book. In an interview with People magazine, she stated, "Not having sex in my life is difficult, but it's not a problem for me. I have to be emotionally attached, and I'm emotionally attached to Eric. My family does not understand. When it started to get serious, some of them just threw up their hands." Sackaman also stated that she and her daughter drove 150 miles every weekend to visit Eric, and that her daughter refers to him as her Earth Dad. Discussing his life sentence, Eric stated, "Tammy is what gets me through. I can't think about the sentence. When I do it with great sadness and a primal fear. I break into a cold sweat. It's so frightening I just haven't come to terms with it. The Menendez brothers, Lyle and Eric, convicted for the brutal 1989 murders of their parents, are back in the public eye. Netflix's Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story, has everyone talking with millions of views in its first week. This docuseries dives deep with never-before-heard audio from the brothers and interviews with key figures like their cousin and the prosecutor. But not everyone's thrilled. Eric Menendez claims the Netflix series is riddled with inaccuracies and misrepresentations. Ryan Murphy, the co-creator, defends it, saying the show explores multiple perspectives, including those of the parents and the legal team. This clash brings up tough questions about revisiting true crime stories and the ethical gray areas involved. So, what's your take? Are we uncovering the truth or just sparking more controversy? Let us know in the comments below and like and subscribe for more videos covering the people you are most interested in. Thanks for watching the Great Who Is channel.